fellow book-loving friends. Thank you for joining me for Spill the Tea with Dee Book Chat. I always trip over that beginning. Go ahead and ring that bell and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss anything. My name is Dee Armstrong. Some of you already know me. I'm a romance and suspense author. My books leave a fingerprint on your heart. But I'm not only a writer, I'm a grandma, teaholic, gardening ninja, and I love to talk about books with my book-loving friends. Pour a cup of tea or your favorite decaffeinated beverage. I don't judge. Unwrap some chocolate. I have extras here if you want some. And let's chat. Today we are spilling on Evil's Unlikely Assassin by award-winning author Jenn Windrow. Thank you, Jenn, for coming today. Yay!
Thank you, Dee, for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. I want to go over her author accolades. Snass, Snark, and Supernatural Sizzle. Award-winning author of urban fantasy and paranormal romance, vampires, Greek gods, and a bit of demon destroyer fun for everyone. Jenn Windrow loves characters who have a pinch of spunk, a dash of attitude, and a large dollop of sex appeal. Top it off with a huge heaping of snark, and you've got the ingredients for the kind of fast-paced story she loves to read and write. Home is a suburb of It's So Hot, My Shoes Have Melted to the Pavement, Phoenix, where she lives with her husband, 2 teenagers, and a slew of animals that seem to keep following her home. At least that's what she claims. Jenn, thanks for coming today. We were just talking off. Sometimes before the spill is kind of the most fun. We were just talking about our kids earlier, and you have 2 beautiful girls. Congratulations. Teenagers. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. We're getting through it. We're almost on the other side. So
yeah, they say boys are harder when they're little and easier when they're older, and girls are easier when they're little and harder when they're older.
Yeah.
Just depends.
I've heard that. Some days I think it was just hard all the time. So
There you go. Caffeine, lots of caffeine.
Yes.
A bit of wine.
A lot of patience.
All right. There you go. The reviews are in. Evil's Unlikely Assassin is a promising urban fantasy debut that features all that's great about the genre: action, attitude, and ass kicking. That's from Jane Wells, USA Today, best-selling author of the Sabina, Cain, and Prospera's War series. Next review is, I started this book at noon and could not put it down. I read it straight through and finished it that afternoon. My only complaint is I want more. So sit down and read and let Jenn take you on a roller coaster ride of a book. You'll not be disappointed. And that's Rabid Reads. And then here's my review. In Evil's Unlikely Assassin, Jenn Windrow dipped her pen into the fantasy world tinged with blood and drops of horror. Stir in lots of laughs, burn your tongue, hot sex scenes, and you'll have a recipe that's for a great read.
Oh, thank you.
Jenn, you're welcome, Jenn. Tell our book-loving friends a little bit about you.
So I'm married, 2 kids, lots of animals. You can see 4 ferrets in the background there. I'm sure a cat will come crawling across here. I've dabbled in writing my whole life, like start and stop. And I was a graphic designer for an engineering firm before kids. So corporate job, and I used to write on my lunch hour and just kind of hang out in my office. And even when I was supposed to be working, there's a few times I would prefer to write instead. And when my oldest was, I had my first daughter, and there was no plan to stay home and become a stay-at-home mom, but it kind of just happened. And so while she was napping and doing all the baby things that they do, I would write. And that's when I started Evils. I thought I had this idea, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to write it. And I continued writing all the way until my second was born. And I wasn't really serious about it. Like, I wanted to do it, and I thought that I really liked the idea. I wanted to become a better writer because I love to read, and I love to read the vampire genre. And one day my husband, who traveled a lot, came home, and I said, I'm going to go to a books group. I'm going to go to a writer's group tomorrow. And he's like, you're going to what? I said, I need to go out and do something for myself. And he's like, okay. And that just kind of, everything snowballed. I started taking writing classes, and then I was published in 2016, which not with this book. This actually was the third book of mine to get published. I was published with a romance first. And yeah, but this book is my baby. It always has been. I mean, I started working on it when I had babies. So,
Mm-hmm,
it was another one of my babies,
There
So,
you go. There you go. I have to tell you, I really, really enjoyed it. I'll get more into that later. I do want to say hello to everyone. Say hello in the chat when you're here. We'd love to know if you could join us. It's always more fun when you ask questions. Now, today Jenn is doing something special for us. She's giving away a signed copy of Evil's Unlikely Assassin for free. Thank you, Jenn.
you're welcome.
And as always, I have a signed copy of one of my books to give away. And how do you win free books? On YouTube, there's a link to enter to win an autographed copy of both books. And I will leave that link up for 1 week. So those of you that couldn't join us live still have a chance to win. In that link, you can sign up for Jenn's newsletter or my newsletter or both, so you can stay in touch so you're in the know of her new releases and future Spill the Teas book news. All right. Are you ready to talk about Evil's Unlikely Assassin?
I am.
I'm going to be really childish here. I have to tell you, I love the name of the book. But the child in me kept going, assassin. I was like, Dee, stop. I was like, oh, you're such a child. I know. I couldn't help myself. I was having one of those goofy boy moments in my head. But,
And it's funny because when people read the title, they expect her to be assassinating humans most of the time. And so when they read it, they're like, oh, wait, no, that's not what's happening here.
Yeah, exactly, which is a great twist. Now, the main character, Alexis Black, never asked to be a vampire. She didn't ask to have a stronger, hungrier vampire placed inside her subconscious. She surely never asked to be tasked with saving both the vampire and human race. But she did ask to be changed back into a living, breathing, heart-beating human. And how does she do that? She must kill one unnatural vampire or werewolf or whatever creepy crawler every night for 50 years. Maybe then the angel called Caleb will help a girl out and make her human again. Jenn, how did this idea come to you?
That's the dumbest idea ever. Okay, so
No, it's so cool.
This sounds so stupid. People look at me like I'm crazy. So, the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer that we've all watched since we were little kids? There's a little elf in there named Hermie. And Hermie doesn't want to be an elf. Hermie wants to be a dentist. And for some reason, my mind went, what if a vampire doesn't want to be a vampire? Like, what would they do to have that happen? Because I was reading Anne Rice at the time. And so, so it just sprung for that stupid, like most of my book ideas spring from some weird little, like, what if question. And that's how Alexis came about was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So it's just where she was born from. And then obviously it snowballed as I actually thought about the idea and put some effort into it besides what if,
Yeah, oh my God, that is so funny. So instead of watching Harlequin, which most people do at Christmas, you're reading Anne Rice.
I am reading Anne Rice. Well, okay, so I graduated from college and I didn't read. I knew that if I read, well, because I can get hooked into a book and just ignore my whole life. So I told myself while I was in college, I wasn't going to read. Like that was it. So I spent like 4 years of not reading really anything but college books, textbooks. And so when I graduated, I ran to Barnes and Noble. I'd go to Barnes and Noble, and I came home with just a stack. And I knew I was interested in the vampire genre, and that's kind of what I wanted to dive into. So I just bought everything I could. And Anne Rice, of course, was, she's one of the biggest vampire authors out there. So because of that, I was just really, I read mostly supernatural books. I really do fantasy, a little bit of sci-fi here and there, but yeah, the fantasy, vampire, werewolf, creepy crawly genre really is my thing. So yeah.
Well, we're glad it's your thing because I completely enjoyed it. You have such great characters in the book. Of course, we have the fun kick-ass characters. I'll hit the biggies. Alexis, our tough vampire heroine. She's armed with Riva, which I loved that. Her short dagger and plenty of wooden stakes, even silver bullets at times. She tries to only kill the really, really, really bad vampires
Tries.
and not suck the blood out of those oh so tasty humans while doing it. And then we have Reaper, which I thought that was really funny that you used his name was Reaper. I thought that was a lot of fun that you named him Reaper.
I was
And
thinking about like if you're in the Marines, because that's where his background is. Like, what kind of nicknames would they give to a Marine that's like, basically a sharpshooter in the Marines? So
oh yeah,
Reaper seemed pretty pretty.
that's a
spot
cool
on.
name. That'd be a cool name for a gun too, right?
It would.
Next book. Next book. Okay, so Reaper is her human sidekick, a bulldozer with a buzz cut, and a vendetta against vampires. Then we have Nathan, the British vampire, who took her in when she was young, and he's a cool vampire version of Billy Idol.
Yes.
We have Eddie, the stronger, older vampire that has been placed in Alexis's conscience. We have Dr. Julian Moore, or Dr. McHottie, a man who has come up with a serum that could be a game changer for both humans and vampires. We have Terrence, the really bad vampire that has Dr. McHottie's sister under his spell and is building an army of newbies. That's what you call new vampires, right? Newbies?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. To destroy all humankind with the help of his serum, with Dr. Monroe's serum. And we have Dr. McHottie's sister. Now, I don't remember her name because I was calling her Julia. I was calling her McBrat throughout the book. Like, oh, here goes McBrat again. She'd do anything for Terrence, even betray her own family. And then we have the VAU, the Vampire Apprehension Unit, which I loved it, Vampire Apprehension Unit, rounding up vampires and executing them. Somebody Alexis needs to be careful around. So, who was your favorite character?
My favorite character to write is Nathan, because he's just completely, he's completely batshit. So he's just fun to write because I can kind of do whatever I want with him and I can kind of just have fun with him. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I really like writing Nathan. My favorite character overall is always going to be Alexis, just because she has a lot of me inside of her. So I think like, well, what would I do in that situation? And so she's easier to write in a lot of ways. Nathan's a little more complex to write because I've got to think of some zany things with him. But Alexis is probably, So probably the two of them are my favorites.
And do you know a British guy that you get all the words from, or do you just Google it?
I Googled them. I would Google. I have a printout of like bunch of different British terms, but I have a book here that's called The Big Book of Being Rude. And it has all the different terms from everywhere, like some really nasty things in there. But that always helped. And I always wanted to try to be authentic with it, but I didn't want to go overboard because I didn't want to offend people either. You have that. I guess I probably could have gotten a sensitivity reader at some point, but then I feel like Nathan would have been watered down a little bit. So
sometimes you just gotta let your characters have fun. I get sensitivity, but and I get sensitivity. Please don't send me mean emails. But in books is where you can kind of push the boundaries, where you can be a vampire that sucks blood out of humans. So I like it. I like characters that are bigger than norm.
Yeah, I do too. I enjoy, and I'm a character-driven reader and writer, so I like big, loud characters that kind of take up screen time. And I like it on TV shows too. The character that just eats up all the screen time, and that's who I love. So
definitely. Now, I knew you were going to think Nathan was going to be my favorite, especially since, I have my son-in-law. Yeah, my son-in-law is British.
Oh, really? Nice.
Oh, yeah. We have so much fun with that poor man. That poor guy. He puts up with so much. The 4th of July, we have so much fun with him. But I'm going to go with Dr. McHottie.
Oh,
and
nice.
Tag him as my favorite. It was hard to choose. I liked how he was smart and tough and very smexy with a gooey inside for his sister and family. I thought he was great and strong. So I really, really enjoyed him very much. Oh, Kathy Altman. Thanks for being here, Kathy. I had to check the comments real quick. Oh, she loved it. She thought you had a super engaging cast of characters.
Oh, thank
Thank you,
you.
Kathy. All right, now we're down to your heart race. I'm going to go first this time. I have to tell you, when I read the first chapter, I was very mad at you. I was very mad at you. I was completely blindsided, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe she just did that." And I don't want to spill too much because I want the readers to have that "oh my god" moment too. I just was like, "No, no way." But you redeemed yourself in the second chapter.
Well, it had to
And
be done
I
because
know.
otherwise that character wouldn't exist. So,
Yeah, yeah, I understand that it had to be done, and now the character is so cool and awesome, and I'm sure all the readers agree. It amped him up into a new level of character and made him so much better instead of just a boring old vampire. But I was my husband was next to me when I was reading. I was like, "Oh my god, you won't believe what she just did." I smacked him.
I've actually had reviews where people are like, I just stopped reading. Like I just couldn't
Oh
believe that happened. And I'm like, okay, well, keep
no,
going.
no. Don't stop reading there, people. You will miss out on a great book if you stop reading there. So let's put that up front. You have to read at least through chapter 2, and you will be in love for the rest of the book. But let me ask you this. Was there a part in the book that made your heart race when writing it? Or did you think, oh, maybe I've gone a little too far in this part?
Yeah, there's some really wacko scenes in there. There's a scene where she and Reaper walk into a building and there's just these like nasty, like basically experimented on vampires just laying everywhere. I was like, okay, well, that's kind of gross. But, and in fact, my critique partners are like, oh, gross. But I'm like, okay, but it's a vampire book. Like, it's not a pretty world, the underground world. But I think my favorite scene in that book has always been when you find out about Reaper's family, because Reaper and she have had this kind of contentious relationship through the whole book, and they don't like each other, and they don't really get along. And you finally get the soft side of Reaper, and then you really understand the why of who he is and why he does what he does. And I think that was my favorite scene to write because yes, the reader was learning something about Reaper, but so was I, because I really didn't understand who Reaper was in the beginning. I knew who I wanted him to be, but I knew that he couldn't be that way through a whole series. Like writing the beginning Reaper through a whole series would have been really, really tough. He needed to soften. And I wanted them to have a relationship. I wanted the relationship between Reaper and Alexis to grow and to become something more than I hate you, but we're forced to work together. And even in romances, you have the enemy to enemy or enemy to lover romances, but and it's not a romance, but it's that same kind of feeling in that relationship where you have two enemies that just have to find that common ground where they can become more than just forced upon each other. So yeah, and I think that's like chapter 17 or something. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but that really was one of my favorite scenes because you really learn in depth about this character that's almost surface level through the very beginning of it.
Yeah. Well, I agree. You took him from almost a cardboard character to a flesh and blood character, which I really enjoyed. The heart. You start the book out on a heart racing chapter. It's a great opening chapter. You took us reader gutter low and gave us redemption in the second chapter. You had great reveals and twists. All through the first part of the book, and it didn't stop there. And I really, really, really enjoyed that because you want the reader surprised, and you took your writing to the next level. The fight scenes, the blood and gore on the page, and then the sex scenes were sizzling hot. So it was good. It was very good. And then to my favorite part. I want to say that I really enjoyed how you put us in Alexa's everyday life with things like when you wrote, I grabbed a bag of O positive from the fridge and popped it in the microwave. And I thought, oh, well, I guess she would do that. You know?
I mean, you got to heat it up. I actually had to
Yeah.
Google how long in the microwave it would take to heat, like to get blood to like a normal body temperature. And there's answers to that on the internet. So
That's so funny. Yeah, your browser history is probably pretty good. Now, being O positive myself, that kind of hit close to home. And then my imagination was off on, is there an underground blood bank? Is there a guy in the corner with a jacket where he opens it and goes, I have A positive, I have B positive, what do you want here? And then you also had her mug of blood. I loved that, her mug of blood. And then I loved how when she learned Reaper's first name, does she call him by it? No, she decides to file away for later so she can pick on him. And then I cannot laugh enough at Alexis's inner comments and about controlling her slutty urges around Dr. McCarty. Oh God, I had to laugh. I was like, oh my God, it was so cute. Her inner commentary.
I know there's a little insta lust there and insta love in a little bit, in a way too. But once again, it was a plot device for something you find out later on. And so because I wanted this like instant attraction, so the when the big reveal comes later, you're like, oh crap, like, okay, that could have gone sideways really quick,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you nailed it. I thought that was really great. Really great. Now I'm bringing back the sizzle meter. Okay. Here we go. This is the sizzle meter. Let me clarify. This is not a rating on the book. I had an author girlfriend, Jen, who did not understand that, and she was really offended. And I lost that author girlfriend because she didn't understand. I do not rate books. I'm an author. It is not my place to rate books. I do something better.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah. I spill on books. Yeah. I spill on them. I know how hard they are to write them. I would never rate another author's book. Now, this is the sizzle factor. How hot is the sex? The sizzle meter. Book-loving friends enjoy both iced tea and hot tea.
Yes.
And the sizzle level for this book, is it between the pages hot, where the smexy sex scenes burn your fingers, or a cool iced tea on a hot day, refreshing, and you'd pour a glass for your mama? I would say that this is into the 10 range of hot. I have to admit, I read it like if this is the book. I read it. I went, it was so good. So good. Very much enjoy it. It was 10 tea leaves, hot, because the sex is burn your tongue, hot in places. Now tell me, did your fingers sizzle on the keyboard when you're writing your sex scenes in this?
They did. They did. And I was actually surprised there was a sex scene in there. It's just kind of, it wasn't, because it's urban fantasy, you don't have to have it in there. And I was like, all right, we'll just, like I said, it's a plot device. So I was like, we need this in here. It actually does fade out. The sex fades out in the last two books completely, but there's a whole lot going on. So throwing sex in there would have been weird. So,
yeah.
But in the first book, I felt like it was necessary. And there's some in the second book too.
Yeah. Hey, but I want to make sure I want to clarify for the readers. It was not erotic sex. It was not.
It's not. No, it's not bondage or BDSM or anything like that.
No,
it's just plain old on the couch, I think, sex.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Good, healthy stuff. Now, don't worry, my book-loving friends. The sizzle isn't over with Evil's Unlikely Assassin. You can read on and enjoy the thrill of vanquishing vampires in Jen's 2 other books in the series. Evil's Ultimate. There's 4 total?
It's completed. Yeah, it's a complete series now.
Oh, I did not realize. I only have 3. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I know, you're fine. The last one just came out last year. So
okay, so we have Evil's Unlikely Assassin, Evil's Ultimate Huntress, Evil's Avenging Angel, and what's the last one?
Evil's Deadly Divide is the last one.
Deadly Divine. Oh, I hear angels. Oh, don't tell me. Don't
I
tell me.
won't.
Okay. I just really want her to tell me, but I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
So tell me.
What was the full question?
I had to stop myself. There's no question there.
Okay.
Of the four, let me think of one. Of the four books, which one was the most fun to write?
Book. Oh, it's a toss up between book 2 and 3, which is weird because most people's. I feel like book 2 is a better book than book 1, for a couple reasons. Because I think my writing got better, like my writing became stronger, but also there's a family dynamic that gets pulled into book 2 and 3, and I don't want to. Well, I guess I can because it's on the back cover blurb. Her twin brother comes into book 2, which is a lot of fun, and then another family member who they actually thought was dead comes into book 3, and so there's this family dynamic between those two books, and they're like almost like one big book that's almost been cut in half. I would say book 2 was probably my favorite to write because she has this twin brother that she hasn't seen in like 57 years or something. And she's all, oh my God, my twin's here. I love him. I want to see him. I haven't seen him in forever. And the last time we saw, we escaped from this horrible place. And we just went our separate ways so we wouldn't be found. And he's all like, yeah, I'm going to kill you. So, there's this like weird family dynamic in there. And so I think it was a lot of fun to write because I needed to figure out how to get Andre, who's her twin, from I'm going to kill you to you're my sister and I would do anything for you. So it was like that figuring out how that would happen. Of course, Julian comes in a lot of that with his chemistry background and things like that. But yeah, it's a toss up between 2 and 3. Those are both. The family dynamic really does it for me. It really does. Because she has this found family, but then she actually has like actual family again. Where in the vampire world, that doesn't always happen. So,
yeah. Well, I think that you're right. In the first book, even as an author, we're trying to figure out the characters still,
right?
And in the second book, your characters and you're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
So I think that's every first book. Well, I got to find that out. I'm gonna have to read the other ones. That's all there is to it. All right, so this is my favorite part. Oh, wait, let's go back. Book Horizon, what are you working on right now?
I am working on a romance fantasy, no vampires, fairies this time, called In the Forest of Eternal Darkness.
Oh, and, nice.
It was supposed to be a lot less urban fantasy and way more fantasy, but it's hard to pull the urban fantasy out of me, which is a very separate genre. So, but it's fun. It's kind of a Romeo and Juliet story, lovers on the opposite realms fall in love with each other. They're not supposed to love each other. And the main character is actually betrothed to a not so good guy. And yeah, so it's fun. I love it. It's very different than anything I've written. So it's been a learning curve.
Blood, but not as much blood, right?
Yeah, there will be blood and there's going to be fighting and battles because I really do enjoy writing that. And there'll probably be sex in this one. So I feel like there needs to be sex in this one.
Well, fairies have to live on too. Hello.
They do. Yes. But yeah, it's learning all the Fae lore that's been really interesting. And I started writing it when I was in Scotland on a writer's retreat. So it felt like the perfect starting place, like because the Fae originated from Scotland and Ireland, so it's where their deep roots are. So it was really fun to see the rolling green hills that would be in, like that you would think of in the fairy realms and that.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I'll have to hit you up on your research books because those sound really cool. Now, on to my absolute favorite part. I'm going to spill on some beautiful writing by Jenn. Here are a few of my favorites. Now, let me say, it was hard picking my top. I had 23 highlights to choose from.
Oh, my goodness.
And usually, I know, I thought that was pretty awesome because usually I stop highlighting midway through the book because I'm too into the story and I forget. So I thought 23 was really great. And I love it when a book starts out rolling right away and you find out what kind of ride it's going to be from the very first paragraph, which Jenn did, and this is her very first paragraph. Tonight's job had me sitting in a shadowy corner of a dead-end dive watching the unfortunate, the hopeless, and the degenerates. Had I known this is how I'd be spending my 173rd birthday, I would have called in sick. I love the little humor hint at the end. It's really cute. And then I tapped my lilac-coated nails on the scratched tabletop and searched for my angel-appointed human partner, my pain in the veins, and self-assigned babysitter. And then my top 3 quick snippets. The fear of being caught played kick the can with my insides. I must have lost my damn blood-sucking mind. And then this one was my absolute favorite. And I don't want to mess it up. I actually practiced it, so I'm going to see how well I do. I can't. His words skipped like a rock over water. I thought that was beautiful, Jenn. I really loved that one. That was really awesome. All right, now we are down to book giveaway. A reminder that we are giving away not only free books, but those books that are signed by the authors. Enter in the link in the show notes, and then I'll announce the winner in our Book Loving Friends group. Have you message me your address and send out the books. Now, I saved the best for last because of an error link last month. We did not have a winner for June, so July's winner will take home a signed copy of Evil's Unlikely Assassin by Jenn Windrow, a signed copy of Mind Games by Nora Roberts, plus your choice of a signed copy of one of my books. Someone is going to win big and receive a book box in the mail. I just want to check the comments real quick. Kathy says our sizzle meter is on track. She loved it. Thank you, Kathy. It was really great. So the winner's going to win all those books. Now, why spill the tea? Before we end, I'd like to share with you why I started Spill the Tea. I wanted to grow as a writer, and part of that journey is reading books written by other people, reading great writing, sometimes extraordinary writing, writing that crawls inside of you and becomes a part of you. I could have read the books by myself and said, that was awesome, but I wanted to share with my book-loving friends, and have fun with it. If you enjoyed Spill the Tea today, share, like, tell your friends, because books are more fun when you share them with someone you love. I'd like to thank Jenn for joining us today. Jenn, you've been lots of fun. So enjoyed your book. It was so kick butt. I loved it. Our next Spill the Tea is on August 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 Mountain, noon Central. We are spilling on Cold Fury by New York Times and USA Today bestselling author Toni Anderson. And yes, I have a signed book to give away. Plus, she sent me cute little stickers. Man, they're back there. I forgot to bring them. She made her characters into these cute little stickers. So cute. Those are going with you, too, even though I wanted to keep them for myself. I will admit. Now, this Spill the Tea will be a little different because I'm going to be at Killer Nashville's Writer Conference in August 21st. So I'm going to pre-record the spill and chat with you live as it plays. I was super bummed when I realized of the time conflict, but this will give me a chance to learn some of those video editing things and hopefully rock your world with some cool video features and hopefully not be old people lame, but young people cool. That's what I'm going to go for. Hey, Jenn, thank you for joining us. A huge thank you for all of you for tuning in and chatting with us about great books. You're the best. I'll put the kettle on for next time. Hugs. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.